8 years ago, I came here after being with Leo Laporte a couple of weeks before, and he had this great idea to put Ham Nation into his lineup. Over the years, this show, Ham Nation, has become one of his top 5 shows. So it tells us as amateur radio operators there's tremendous interest for all of us, and I appreciate you supporting it. Very quickly, I'm going to run through the host to say hello. First of all, where's Gordo? Gordo? Because we have a lot of guests that have other things to do. How are you doing, buddy?
I'm doing fine. Did you want the audio now?
Yeah, we're still together after 8 years.
He called me up one morning, and he says, I've got an idea. Joe Walsh will be there. I'll be there. And I said, I'll be there.
Yeah.
Wow.
Hey, let's introduce everybody just first. Who's that young lady? Boy, she's better looking than any of us. What do you think, George?
It is my intense pleasure and honor to introduce a lady that I guess I found you. I was doing a story for Amateur Radio Newsline and doing the video for the Newsline headlines about something going on the sun, and I found her, and I emailed her, and I said, can I use a piece of your video? And she goes, oh my God, of course, you can use whatever you need. And now she's got her license, and she is the space weather woman, and she is our solar reporter.
All right.
And it is my intense honor and pleasure to introduce you to Dr. Tamatha Scove, WX6SWW.
Wonderful. Hey.
Thank you all so much. I appreciate it. It's been such a wild ride, and I tell you, I've been to scientific conferences all over the world, and I've interacted with tons of people. You know, so one of the biggest conferences I've gone to, the AGU, is about 25,000 strong, so it's almost as big as Hamvention is. But never in my life have I ever seen a set of people that have treated me like family and treated each other like family. I mean, I'm used to bickering and competition and all this kind of stuff, but every time I come here, without fail, you all remind me what family is really all about. It's what it's all about. And ever since, and I am so grateful that I was convinced by Gordo and everyone here to get my ticket, my ham license, because now I get to officially be part of your family.
Oh, that's great. That's great.
Thank you so much.
Tamatha, we love you. I want to introduce George because we got a special guest that's on time. We'll get him up here. How are you doing?
Bob, it's good to see you again, and it's hard to believe it's been 8 years now. I tell you, I don't have too many burn marks on my fingers from the soldering iron yet.
Yeah, but what about that thing you and Tommy and those guys do when you blew something up with a torch way early? Do you put that away or what?
Well, we keep Jim away from the torch, but I don't know what he's doing in his spare time.
Anybody know that deal? You saw that where they took the torch and almost burned the house down? It's crazy. Glad to have you. And we're rushing because we have a very special guest here. Jett, come forward. This is a young man, if you don't know who he is one of the stars. Isn't that right?
Stars are only in the
That's
sky.
right, with Tim Allen. And Jett is a wonderful young man. He's got his license.
Thank you.
Yes, it's good to have you. I know you guys are on a big rush because everybody wants to see you.
Well, I'm glad I could be here. My dad and I, we both got our technician class license together, and it's been a blast.
It's great. And you're on the air now and having fun, right?
Yes, sir. I really do, because it really is one big family. It's kind of weird to think of it like that, but it really is. And I got to thank John, because he really got us into it.
Where are you at,
so
John?
much.
Stand up, buddy.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's the reason that there's an amateur radio set on the show. And he came to me and said, you think I could help? I call Ray Novak. Ray and I both have this little thing. We don't have no in our vocabulary, so we put it up there, and here you come.
Well, I'm very glad.
You're also a performer, right?
Yes, sir. I'm a musician. I've released some music. My album will be out later this year, and I'm going around the country performing as well.
Well, when that happens, we got to get you on Ham Nation. I want to have you on a couple of times. We got other things to talk about on the show with you.
We do.
Yes, but we're really, really proud of you.
Thank
And
you.
of course, you have great parents. That's where it all comes from. But you're talented. You do really
Thank you.
great things, and we're excited to have your album out. And we'll see you down the line. That's for sure. Let's do
Definitely.
something real quick.
All right.
Does anybody have any questions for Jett?
Alrighty. Well, that
Okay.
settles that.
That settles that. Okay. That's okay. They're all afraid. We don't get to meet Hollywood stars very often.
Stars are only in the sky.
Yeah.
I'm an actor. Come
Yeah,
on.
that's right.
Come on now.
But from Hollywood. See, that's the deal. Yeah.
Kind of.
I know what you're saying.
Thank you.
Very shy, very humble, but he's a great guy. So
Thank you very
you're going to
much.
hear about him. And Jett Jurgismeyer, write that down in your iPad, notes, or even we sent faxes together to wear
Yes.
the shirts,
See that?
just so you guys
We planned
know.
this.
Yeah. It's great.
Worked out.
What's up next? The show in
Show Last Man Standing, Season 8. Yes, haven't had a
Yeah.
chance to talk to John about that,
Number
but yes. I have an animated series for Disney Junior, which will be out this summer, called
what's
Tots.
the name of it?
It's called Tots.
Tot.
T-O-T-S.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
You're the voice on some
Yes,
of
sir. I play Pip the Penguin. So there you go.
All right. And what about your music career? Are you doing something there?
It's going well. Yes, sir. I'm performing all around. Like I said, I'm performing in Missouri, Tennessee, Illinois.
Yeah.
I believe I'm performing there in Chicago, in Georgia as
Yeah.
well. So if you're around any of those places, just look it up on my .com, JettJurgensmeyer.com. You can see where
That's
I'll be performing.
great. And I understand you and Carrie Underwood share something.
We do. We each have these really great mics called Heil mics, and let's see.
All right.
Oh wait, that's you.
That's me.
Yeah.
Actually,
Yeah.
it's Sarah. She owns the company.
oh.
I just invent stuff for
Well,
her.
there you go. Yeah.
Well, we thank you so much for coming.
Well, thank you for having
And
me.
we're gonna watch you in the future. You're gonna be
Yes, sir.
a
Thank you.
rising star. We know that. But
Thank
the cool thing is, you will know years past as it comes on. I don't think he's going to change. I think it's going to be just good
Well,
old
thank you.
Jett.
And I want to thank Gordon because my dad and I used your technician class book and studied, and that basically helped us pass that test.
Take a picture of it. I want to get a picture because I'll
All
put
right.
this on Hamnation
Oh.
next Wednesday. Yes, all right. Very, very good. I thank you for coming. I thank your parents
Thank you
for
very
doing
much.
that. You're off to the youth forum.
Yes, sir.
Next
the other
door.
side. There we go.
Okay.
All right.
Thanks so much.
Thank you so much.
We're going to see you down the line.
All right.
How about that?
Thank you.
Jett Jurgismeyer. Wonderful. Wonderful. So, wait, somebody else came in. Hi.
I did, and just so you know, I ordered an Uber, and they've been like within 5 to 10 minutes. This one was 38 minutes. She saw me. He was really late getting us.
Okay.
So, sorry, it was Uber. Wasn't me.
This is Valerie.
Hi, everybody.
And by the way, we have no script, so when we do these things, it's usually the way the show runs too. I got to tell you the story because I have a lot, and I really mean this. I have a lot of people, right? Emails, and when I do things in the Hamfest, where'd you get them? They only know how they got there. I'll tell you how I got her. Gordo says to me, we need to get somebody that knows something about DX because, boy, we certainly don't. George, you know anything about DX? Nope. Don, you know? No, I can read scripts, but I don't know about DX. So I'm looking in the chat room. And I have to admit to all of you, I get called down. I got an email the other day. It was a nasty gram because he sent a question to me in the chat room, and I didn't answer him. It happened to be on the 403rd show. We didn't know where we were on that show, so I wasn't watching. But anyway, I get to see it occasionally. Anyway, I'm looking down the chat room, and there's this NV9L talking about this island, talking about this. I'm going, wait a minute. So I sent her an email, and she knew a lot about DX contesting, and I invite her, and her first comment was, I can't do that. I'm too shy. Oh, honest. She was. She was a very shy lady. Well, I don't know, something happened, but I guess
I don't know.
I guess we ruined your
faked
person.
it till I made it, you
Yeah.
know. But yeah, like trying to make that first cue, so you should have seen me.
Well,
I was shy.
hey, she ended up working on a radio station because of it too, so she wasn't too shy. We are so blessed to have you because you bring things that we all need and most of us don't know about. But that's what Ham Nation is about. It is not any one of our personal shows. It's all of us together. We are a team. And recently, Randy, who is not here, Randy's been doing a lot of videos, projects. George is going to tell you about that in a minute. But we had dinner with Leo and Lisa, and I can't tell you that's all he did was tell us how good this person was, that person. And when you get somebody like Leo Laporte to tell you just off the cuff what he thinks about his shows, why we were very blessed, and you're one of his tops. So thanks for coming and being here. We're going to do crazy things.
I wore my special shirt. Hopefully someone can decode it for me.
Yeah.
I know what it says, but maybe you could figure it out. It's my Morse code shirt.
Okay, cool.
But they cut the fabric upside down, so you kind of got to read it upside down. They didn't know what they were doing.
All right.
All right.
I think we should have a word from Don. By the way, he didn't tell you. His name is Don Wilbanks, and he is a professional pronunciator. And
Well, since everybody else is standing up, I guess I will too.
that's right. And we want to tell you how blessed we are to have him because he holds most of us to the ground when it comes to all of the right things to say and so on. Don, thanks for coming. And,
Well, thank you.
You have this great torch in the sky that you found that pretty lady beside you.
Isn't she awesome, Dr.
Wow.
T? One more time for Dr. T.
Wow.
Just
Unbelievable.
so proud of her,
Go over
especially
here.
for getting her ticket. Let me get over here so I'm not blocking anybody.
Tell us some things of what's going on.
Yeah, for those of you who may not know much about my background, I've been in radio for 40 years, which basically means that I've been on the air since I got out of high school, which means that I can't get a real job. I write and produce radio commercials now after many years of being on the air and being a morning jock and whatnot for 8 radio stations in New Orleans, which basically means I'm production director. So I wrangle egos and I part the sea and I reduce mountains back into molehills and kick people out of my office on a daily basis. And for some reason they like that. But got into ham radio back in '75 when I was a 15-year-old, started taking lessons and learning the code, and then overcame by fumes, exhaust fumes and perfume. You can relate to that, I'm sure. And so 20 years later, my wife's uncle has this little handheld radio, and so, is that your business band radio? He says, no, that's ham radio. I said, well, I was fooling with that 20 years ago. He said, well, you ought to get your license. I said, well, I think I will. And that was 1995, and immediately got pegged by Bill Pasternak, the late WA6ITF, to be part of Amateur Radio Newsline, and I'm thrilled to be one of the people carrying the torch for that. I just happen to be the most visible person. But while we're talking about Amateur Radio Newsline, that's been on the air for 40 years, a little over now. Thank you. And we miss Bill every day. He's been gone about 4 years now, and there's not a single day that goes by that I don't want to pick up the phone and ask him a question. He was and is to this day in spirit just such a huge mentor and friend to me and taught me so much. But one of Bill's passions, if I can get away from Ham Nation for a sec, one of Bill's passions was youth and education and getting young people into this hobby, because if we don't get new blood into this hobby, it will go away. And so Jett is well, he's over there now with the Youth Forum, and thank God for Carol Perry, in the Youth Forum. Yeah. That was one of Bill's passions, was recognizing the youth in amateur radio and all that they bring. And so he started the Young Ham of the Year Award 30 some odd years ago. And nominations are open. In fact, nominations will close the end of this month. So if you know an exceptional young ham, I implore you to go to the website, arnewsline.org, and download the nominating form, fill it out, and email it back to us. And we will announce and present the winner 3 months from now, the third weekend in August at the Huntsville, Alabama Ham Fest. And we've had a home with Huntsville for since '93, I believe. So a long time, long time. Love the Huntsville Ham Fest. Highly recommend that one. So if you know an exceptional youth who is doing great things with amateur radio, by all means, let us know, and we'll do our best to honor that person. But I'm just yeah. CQ is a corporate sponsor. Heil Sound is a corporate sponsor. Yeezy USA is a corporate sponsor, and Radio Waves Antennas, Vanevenhoven is a corporate sponsor, and we couldn't do it without them and their help, and of course the hospitality of the Huntsville Hamfest. So enough of the corporate plugs. I'm just happy as I can be to be part of this. Bill Pasternak emailed me one day and said, you know, Bob wants to do a news program on Ham Nation. We're going to get Robert Sudock to do it. Oh, that's perfect. Robert's got a great voice. You may remember if you saw the earlier, the first couple of years of that, Robert did it, and then had some health issues. And so I said, well, I'll sit in the chair and keep it warm for him until he comes back. And now, what, 7 years later or something, I'm still in the chair.
That's right.
And I'm thrilled to be part of this, to be able to call you and Gordon West and all of you just friends. And you guys mean so much to me, and I'm just so thrilled and privileged to be a part of this and to be a part of the whole amateur radio community. My wife told me when I got licensed, she said, oh, this will be some hobby you'll have for 6 months a year.
Yeah.
And now 20 years later, here we are.
Absolutely. It lasted a little longer.
Yeah. Well, it will last, like Tamatha said, it's a family.
Yeah.
And you're in it for life. It's terminal. I'm happy about that.
I was in the office at the Twit Studios 8 years and 2 weeks, and Leo said, we want to do this. So I'm still in the parking lot, and Sarah and I are looking at each other. Do you think we can do this? She said, yeah, well, you just need to get some people. So who do you think the first person was I called? Joe Walsh. Because I figured we would do maybe 1 or 2 shows. I mean, come on. Well, we did that one show, and Leo called me and he said, that was over the top. He said, we're getting all kinds of response from that, so you keep going. And I was still in the parking lot when I called him, and we got that together. Anybody see that first show? It was pretty bad, really. We just put it together. The best part was Joe just took it and run. Our camera shots weren't good. Our audio wasn't good. We didn't care. Joe was having fun. So what did I do the next day when I got back home? I called Gordon. And that's how it really started. A few weeks down, I was trying to do this smoke and solder. We actually trademarked that name, and Sarah said, you really ought to see about somebody helping you, because I'm trying to talk in a microphone and my drawings are terrible. I know that. So we quit that. And here comes George, and we'll let him tell his story in a minute. But we're so blessed to have all these guys. Before you leave, you have to show them your right arm.
Oh, it's my QSL card.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Check this out, guys and gals.
This is funny. Right after I had this done, Bob was at the Huntsville Hamfest, and we kind of knew of each other, but I don't think we had met. And I walked up to him and I said, hey, Bob, would you take a look at one of my microphones? And he's like, Bob can't say no. No is not his. Oh, yeah, thinking, who's this jerk? And so I go, yeah, see what you can do with this.
It's a PR40.
Yeah, and his jaw dropped, and he's like, I've never seen one of my microphones on an arm before. And there are several now. There's a lot of Heil mics on arms now.
Yeah, but they're not that good.
Well, I don't know about that.
Yeah,
but,
that's right.
Yeah, so I'm just, that's how much I love you and your products. So
thanks, buddy.
Thank you.
We got a lot more going together. Maybe we should talk to Tamatha, because I think she's got someplace else to go. But why don't you come up here and tell a little bit about your story? And we're so happy and proud of you, because the whole amateur radio community loves you, because you bring us information that's useful. So, man, what a deal for Ham Nation.
Boy, do I have you duped. You find my stuff useful. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
No, I'm very grateful that you guys have invited me in and have treated me so amazingly, like I said before. But I do have an ulterior motive, and I'll step away from Ham Nation for just a second. The ulterior motive, really, if anybody who's seen my talks or anything knows, because I'm beginning to say it ad infinitum, is that I'm tired of you guys saying that amateur radio is a dying art. And everybody's saying we can't bring the youth in. But the youth is going to bring themselves in. And the reason why is because they are calling themselves the Mars generation, right? And I'm going to go, as a matter of fact, when I'm done right here, I'm going to go over to Carol Perry's Youth Forum and talk about exactly what I'm telling you now. And the thing is, there is a whole generation of kids who've never known life without Elon Musk. They've never known what it's like to not think about colonizing Mars. And they've never known life without one of these, right? These kids, they call them technology natives. They're not technology migrants like us, right? We grew up without these. We remember what life was without these. They have no idea. They don't go anywhere without these, and they think they can take them to Mars. Right? They can bring them, but they ain't gonna work. So really what it comes down to it is that, well, what did we do as Earth colonists, right? How did we do over-the-horizon communications before this? It was all HF, right? It's all amateur radio. So really, everybody in this room can be considered an Earth colonists, right? Because we did it first. We learned how to do it here. Well, now we have the Mars generation, and they have no idea what HF even stands for, right? They forget that these are radios, essentially. They're just radios, because all of it's done for them. So we need to be Elmers to the Mars generation. And this is how I look at every single person in this room. Because like it or not, they want to go to Mars, they're going to have to learn how to communicate there. And this is the group that has the know-how to teach them. So we don't necessarily have to worry about amateur radio being a dying art. And as a matter of fact, and I've told people this before as well, if anybody tells you that and says that to you, go up and pop them in the face for me and tell them, stop it. Because it's not true. Amateur radio is the future, not the past. And I hope I make sure every single person in this room understands that and takes that to heart, because it is. Because if we plan to colonize other planets, that's the only way it's going to happen. And Mars is even more susceptible to space weather than is Earth. When Mars gets hit by a solar storm, it doesn't have a magnetic shield to protect it. I mean, it has magnetic field, but it's not that good. It sure can't protect it, and all that radiation and stuff will come down straight to the surface. Martian colonists will not be able to. It gives a whole new spin on the movie The Martian. You guys see that movie? It was kind of this little small little dud movie, you know, one of those little tiny films nobody saw. But when The Martian was filmed, right, you have Matt Damon, and he's out there doing his thing. But I tell you, if a real solar storm hit Mars, the astronauts have to go underneath the ground, and they know this because the radiation hits all the way to the planet. So you can't have Matt Damon hiding behind his little potatoes anymore. Right? The real story is that it's a lot more hazardous. And when that happens, the Martian atmosphere goes completely opaque to radio communication. So but radiation storms will arrive from the sun to Mars in less than an hour. So how are you going to communicate to the colonist that happens to be in his rover just over the horizon? How are you going to get to him to let him know, go to your bunker, get underground, a storm's a-coming? We're going to have to, it isn't going to be on one of these, right? So please remember that. I look to all of you as being the future, because we have a whole new generation of colonists to train.
I have a question. Thank you. Is that great or what? I would like to know how you got into doing all of these wonderful things about space. You were in grade school, high school. Where did it finally hit you to say, I want to do that? And where did you learn all this, your background? Let us know a little bit about that, please.
Oh, okay. I originally was an artist. I liked to paint. I played music. I loved sci-fi. So I'd read sci-fi novels. So that was really my passion when I was a kid. But I decided I wanted to be a chemist. I really liked chemistry for some reason. So I started learning chemistry, but in order to learn chemistry, you had to learn physics. And so I started reading physics textbooks. And as I read them, I realized that some of the concepts in physics were even more whacked out than the sci-fi novels I was reading. And believe it or not, I started putting the sci-fi books aside and picking up textbooks and reading more of those. And that's when I realized, okay, this is serious. Maybe I should go into physics. But I had been a fan of people like David Bowie, for example, who managed to combine, the whole concept of space and the magic of it, and the wonder and mystery of it with music, with art. As a matter of fact, he probably never knew this, but he was one of the first astrosociologists that ever existed. If you guys ever get a chance to look up astrosociology, it actually is a field. It's how we have integrated space and the knowledge of space and the wonder of space into our pop culture. Now, I'm sure Bowie didn't really mean to do this on purpose, but in actuality, he did. He thought he was just a British rock star, right, and into fashion and stuff. But look how much that attitude and what he did brought space into our popular culture. What is the only song that's ever been recorded in space? Right? It's Bowie's song, right? Chris Hadfield. And then on top of that, Elon Musk, who did he launch into space in that Corvette? Starman, right? So that kind of concept has always fascinated me, that how we look at space and bring it into our popular culture, it can inspire and bring us to a new level and make us more connected to the world around us. So I always had that kind of attitude. And so when I started doing physics, of course, I leaned towards space. And when I went to UCLA for my undergraduate work, I ended up falling in line with a professor who was, at the time I didn't realize this, but he was the most cited space physics researcher in the world. I didn't know. He said he just offered me a job. And I said, sure. I was an undergrad. I needed the money. And he said, hey, let's do some stuff on Mars. So I started my undergraduate career in space weather looking at the magnetic shield of Mars. That was and I even have some papers out as an undergrad. But when I finally graduated, it was 3 years later, and he said, you know what, please, just stay. Just become my grad student. And I said, well, there was a gal at the time who was leaving, she was graduating, and Gretchen Lindsay, and she had studied the sun and all the stuff that comes off of the sun. And I told him, I said, you know what, I'll stay under one condition. I want her job. So that's how I got started in there. And then the Space Weather Woman came about much later. Really, it was due to all of you, because I got on social media, believe it or not, for more like astrosociology stuff. And in the end, what ended up happening is that I would answer questions about space weather, and the more questions I'd answer, the more questions people would ask. And then pretty soon I started noticing different niches of people coming out, right? There were aurora photographers would ask me specific things about space weather. And then amateur radio operators would ask me something totally different, right? And so I started seeing these same kinds of questions over and over again. And I started realizing, wow, there's really an unanswered need here for this kind of info. And so I basically turned the mic to you and went, what do you need? What do you want me to do? And they said, we need weather forecasting. Right. And really, I said, okay, well, how about this? And I try something. They say, no, how about more like a terrestrial forecast? And I said, what, you want me to get on a green screen and stand in front of the sun? And they went, yeah. That's a great idea.
Well, you do that very well, I have to tell you. And we are blessed that you give this to us in words we can understand. A lot of times people do these kind of things, we don't know what they say. So we appreciate that and your time away from home to do all this. And we're just really happy about it. And we look forward to a lot more from the Space Lady. So let's give her a big round of applause. Thank you. Thank you.
And if I may, I hope everybody talked to you about this. Please stay. I'm going to go to the youth forum, but I will be back. And I want all of you to stay, because what I'd really like to do is I have a camera and a stabilizer, and I want to run around the audience. I want to show them off so that we can maybe show
can do
them off
that.
on Hamnation.
We're going to do that. We're going to be
That
here
sound good?
till 11 o'clock doing other things, but when I see you, it'll be your floor.
Oh, well, no, it doesn't have to be that quick.
Well, it's got to be. We're not talking to just anybody. It's Tamatha, right? All right. Hey, thank you. Thank you so much. Okay. Before we get too far, I want George to tell us a little bit about what he's doing and burning his fingers and all that.
Well, thank you, Bob, and thank you for inviting me into the Hamnation family. I think it was maybe episode 8 or so. And prior to that, and I'm still doing AmateurLogic.TV, we started that, well, we're on our 14th year now in October. It'll be 14 years anniversary. So we didn't know when we started that it would be going this long. I mean, I just got with Tommy and Jim, the guy with the torch, and we said, let's do a few videos. And at that point, the internet just had gotten fast enough that you could easily download videos through the internet. It really wasn't fast enough to click on something and watch it live. You needed to download it and watch it. But I started doing that, and boy, it's been a lot of fun. And I built projects, Jim and Tom did too. Just whatever we were doing, we put on there. It wasn't necessarily supposed to be a ham radio podcast, but we were all amateurs, and so it kind of came out that, we covered a lot of amateur topics. And then Bob was looking for someone to help with the soldering iron, and said, hey, why don't you come join us on Ham Nation and do a smoke and solder segment for us. It's kind of hard for me to sit here and solder and talk on the camera and hold the mic at the same time. And I see you're doing videos, and that works good. So I said, sure. So I joined in, and boy, it's been a lot of fun. Back when we first started, I was working from home exclusively. I've been in radio like Don since, well, I actually got in it in high school. So, and I studied electronics, and I'm a broadcast engineer. And therefore, I'm not qualified really to do anything else. I'd have to get a real job if I quit doing this. But I took like a 20-year break and worked from home and did computer software for radio stations. Well, now, 3 years ago, they finally convinced me to get back into doing radio engineering again because there's a real shortage of it. So if some of you guys are good with RF, there's probably a radio station somewhere in your community that would like to talk to you because there's a real shortage. Anyway, they convinced me to come back in and start that again. So about 3 years ago, I got back in. I'm doing full-time engineering, but I didn't quit anything else. So you will see now some of the smoke and solder segments that we'll do a Tales from the Transmitter site, and I'll show maybe what I've been doing that week at one of the sites, or maybe one of the hazards that you'll run into, or just some of the interesting things and comparisons to, how maybe this is a commercial side of RF and high power, but it's kind of the same things that we do in amateur radio, just a little different scale. And people seem to like seeing that too. So I do one of those every now and then, and just kind of mix it up. I still do some projects, but I stay kind of busy. So a lot of times it's whatever I'm doing, that week is what I'll cover. But Randy K7AGE has also been doing videos for a long time, and he has started a new, I would call it a project on Ham Nation. He wants your photos and your descriptions of what you're building and what your project is, and he wants you to send them to him at, what is the address? It's so new I can hardly remember. Ham Nation Projects.
Yeah, Ham Nation Project,
at
right.
twit.tv.
Right.
And send him your photos, tell him what you've been building, and he puts them together in a segment. Every few weeks he's collected enough of those that we can do a full segment of what people are building. He's not looking for videos, he's looking for photos and descriptions of what you're doing. and he does a good job of putting those together, and we appreciate everyone who's contributing. And so please send them in. Hamvention Projects at twit.tv. And when you get home from Hamvention this year, turn your soldering irons on and build something. I've seen plenty of spare soldering tips, plenty of solder here, so there's no excuse.
That's right.
You can get everything you need right here.
Well, we really appreciate you being a part of the show. You're a big part. Randy and you guys do great work. And we want all of you to send your projects, and I don't care what it is. If it's 3 resistors and a piece of whatever, send it and let us see what you're doing. So thanks so much for being here. And the show would not be the same without your part, too. That's for sure.
Well, it's a lot of fun, Bob. I appreciate it.
I want to make... I want to make sure that I talk about 2 people real quick while Gordo's getting set up. These are these 2 guys sitting in the corner down here. Stand up. Steve runs one of the nets after the show. And if you don't work those nets, you want to do it. W7UDI has been there from the start practically. And you want to check into these nets. It's a lot of fun, and you hear a lot of things that's going on around the back door of the show. And we have Marty in N1C. We talk about the youth. Whoa, we need about 100,000 of him. He's an amazing young man, and we really appreciate him helping. These guys helped set all this up.
Yeah, Marty is one of the success stories. Come up here, Marty. About 3 years ago, was it? 2 years ago? 2 years ago? Marty presented the Amateur Radio Newsline Bill Pasternak WA6ITF Memorial Young Ham of the Year in Huntsville, Alabama. It is a mouthful. So, and Marty's doing great things. So we'll turn the stage over to Marty here for a little bit and just tell him what's going on and a little bit about you.
Sure. Well, my name is Marty, NN1C, and what a great crowd we have here today, Bob. And it's a lot of fun to be here. I'm from the East Coast, Boston, Massachusetts, to be precise. And as Bob said, as Tamatha said, and I think as Val said too, ham radio is the best hobby in the world. And it's terrific to be here at Dayton Hamvention and getting to talk to all of you and the great stuff that Bob does, because he gets to spread, and everybody else gets to spread their knowledge about ham radio, and the teaching that comes from Ham Nation is really important. And I think it's really fantastic that we get to do this and be here and talk to all of you and see so many friendly faces. My current work, and thank you for the kind words, Don, is I'm a contester. That's my niche right now. And we've been doing a lot of work in bringing youth into contesting and creating youth-led contest teams. In this very room at, I think it's 3 p.m. this afternoon, we'll be talking about that if you want to hear more. But it's a great honor, and it's great to be here.
Yeah, Marty was part, if you remember the story on Newsline and on Ham Nation not too long ago, Team Exuberance for the, which contest was that?
Oh, WPX phone.
Yeah, at the K3LR Superstation.
There's a couple antennas.
Yeah. How'd you guys do?
6,000 Qs, 24 meg points almost. Yeah, there's a couple contacts.
It's a pretty good weekend.
Yeah.
Thank you, Marty. Appreciate you being here, and appreciate you and your friendship. Bob?
Practically the better part of my life, I've had roadies that work for me to take care of stuff, so I don't have to hook everything up all the time when I was out with all the bands. And I still have them. It's just amazing. They come in here and fix things, especially if the computer doesn't work. Well, there it is, and I'm blessed by all of that, so it's really cool. But we're a team. It's a family, as Tamatha told you. And I guess we can say that the king of the family is standing behind me, but I got one person I want to stand up because it has a lot to do with what happened this last couple of years. You know how I want you all to build. So I got this crazy idea of going back to the 50s when I started building stuff on pine board. I want Virginia to stand up. Yes, I do. Virginia, NV5F. And I know you're thinking, why do I single her out? She had to go buy a soldering iron. She had never put anything together like this, and she has successfully built the pine board. And what a wonderful thing. Thank you for doing that. And she's joined by hundreds. I can't tell you how many I had yesterday come by. And a lot of people I never hear from, but I talked to him on the air. What are you running? A pine board. And it's like, whoa. So what a fabulous project. And of course, it led to the cover award on QST. And the culmination was the other night. I was awarded the Bill Orr Award. And if you know about Bill Orr, he was a great builder. And I've had a lot of things in my life, from the only manufacturer in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. I just received an honorary doctorate, all of this stuff. But you know what? That particular award of the Bill Orr really means something, because ham radio is my life. So I really appreciate all the support from everybody. But some of the best support I get is this guy. Gordon West, you're something special, buddy. What are you doing?
Who knows, Bob? And wow, what a great team we have out there. Yes, you and we as a team are so happy just to work with you each and every Wednesday night. So keep up the good work. But Bob, we need to know who they are. So as if this were a pileup on 10 meters. Yeah, 10 meters was open the last few weeks. Let's hear those call signs and we'll make out only one. So here we go with the call signs. 1, 2, 3.
NV9L.
Oh, look at this. Man, Don's got it for ATV. Val has it in CW, but she said it's what? It's upside down?
It's upside down. It says the future is women.
Oh, wow. Well, Bob, we are so proud. And George made a find of all find, a new radio at the swap meet. Well, it wasn't really too old, but not too new either. George, we heard you on the air last night. So, George, just a little bit of CW warble, but it's going to be okay. And you know, there was worry, they have a current technician class proposal for getting more techs with more privileges. And, years ago when techs had a boost in what they could do on the air, everybody was worried that those techs that were original CB radio operators might have a hard time adjusting in ham radio. And I don't think there was any problem.
CQ breaker, CQ breaker, CQ breaker. This is Kilo India 6 Tango Uniform calling CQ breaker. Come on back.
We could have done well without the come on back, huh? Well, Bob, your pine board is wonderful. It always sounds great. Val was going to construct one, but she was lacking I think it's, George, a capacitor in her power supply. We call those key clicks, but nonetheless, Valerie is on the air and always doing a great job. Valerie, what's your next expedition?
Jerry? I don't know. He's going to Pitcairn, but I'm staying home. Hopefully we'll do something. I want to get on the other side of a pileup.
Yeah, the other side of a pileup. Pitcairn, boy, that's going to be a great one. Well, George, we did hear you on the air, and you helped out with Valerie's power supply capacitor. We have a little recording of that. Oh, my goodness. How many have owned a Swan transceiver? We were going to have one on Ham Nation. I like swans. Just a little bit of drift, but you know, if you catch the drift, we have so much fun on Ham Nation, but it wouldn't be any fun, Bob, if we didn't have a team like you that tune us in or do a replay. So keep up the great work. Yes, I forgot my tie. So I will make it up next Wednesday night. Be sure and tune in or catch a rebroadcast. I will wear my tie.
Yes.
And yes, at 4 o'clock you will witness no pants, but I do have shorts.
Yeah.
Thank you all for making Ham Nation the best. Thanks to the volunteers that pull this event off every year for Hamvention. And have a great time. And I'll see you all out at the swap meet or in the booth at W5YI. 73!
Thanks, Gordo. Thanks, buddy. Thanks, buddy. I knew when I made that call from the parking lot of the Twitch Studios that I had something happening if he was going to join us, and he does. He brings us a lot of excitement. And you had a guy on that had something to do with indoor antennas recently. Right? Is he here? Yes. Stand up. If you missed his segment, we're having him back. And I talked to him yesterday. This guy does more with indoor antennas. Well, he doesn't match what Valerie's got in her backyard, but anyway, he does marvelous things. How many people saw that of the indoor antenna? Do not miss it. Be watching Ham Nation. We're going to billboard some of this stuff because he's got some really cool things, and we appreciate you working with Gordo on that. That's going to be sensational. And how many saw the 400 show? If you didn't see it, you really want to do it. Just put Ham Nation 400. And I'm all going to let you in on a little secret. So usually I tell you don't tell anybody. No, go out and tell everybody. But you got to pay attention. I got a call the other day from Joe. And Joe says, "Hey, how'd I do?" I says, "You did great." "Oh, I thought it was terrible." He says, "I didn't have no camera in it." He said, "It was terrible." I said, "No, Joe, you could just stand in a corner and we'd all be thrilled just to talk to you." "Oh," he says, "it was awful." Because he's got this brand new station. It's unbelievable. All of this stuff is up and going. It took him a year or so to do this. And so he has begged me. Really, he says, I got to come back. Can I come back? Yeah, well, he's been on about 6 times. Somewhere after his tour in Europe, it'll be probably June or July, we're going to set him up with the camera and all the right things. You do not want to miss that show. And it's going to be titled A Night with Joe. And I don't know if any of us are going to be there, but if he wants to do it, and he does, there ain't going to be much talking other than Don and the ads. We got to keep that going, you know. But it's going to be so much fun with his new station. So keep tuned. We'll be talking about it because I got some ideas to put together with it. So I'll keep you posted. Did I see Tamatha slicking you?
She came back just to grab her phone.
Oh, okay. She'll be back. Okay. Well, we pretty much have wound it up. I'm going to set some things up here and talk a little bit about other things of Heil Sound, especially the new parametric receive system. But we appreciate all of you being here. I hope you stick around here. I'll be about 5 minutes. Gosh, look at this, Gordo. Usual thing, we're over time. But that's okay. That's okay. We're all right. Better than an hour. Thanks for coming, and we'll see you in just a few minutes. We appreciate all of you being supportive of Ham Nation. Thank you.